400 Thunder Pro Alcohol began at the East Coast Nationals with an emotional win for a champion veteran. It is all Steve Reed. All Steve Reed. In round 2 at the West Coast Nitro, the 18-time Australian champion proved that he has plenty of power left in his engines. They bring the revs up, a couple of phantom revs. Canooly's in, we're set for a start. And Phillips just gaps him there. 5:44 puts the exclamation point on it, and the Lucas Oil team will be celebrating tonight. The Perth Motorplex again played host for round 3 of the 400 Thunder series, and the final would see a rematch between two of the best teams in Australian drag racing. One flash of the tree and you're Ash. And Ash it is for Gary Phillips. Smokes the tyres. I did not expect that early on in the run. And man, oh man, John Canooly takes it a 5:47. And then we move on to Willowbank. This is the Santos Super 3 Extreme Drag Race here at Willowbank. Those are the gold Christmas trees. That's exactly what we're racing for this weekend. And this is Pro Alcohol, the one and only qualifying session. And as you can see, the sun is going to play a major factor in this qualifying session. That's Mark Davison. Beautiful looking T-bucket altered this one of the few altereds in the field. And he is taking on the Queensland local, Peter Zello. Just a blazing sun right into the eyes of these drivers. It is a very difficult situation because you've got to remember they have to look forward because they've got the Christmas tree. They need to stage the car the right way. And then they've got to get the thing to the finish line, all with the sun in their face. It's not an easy task. Oh, big wheel stand for Davidson. That is a huge wheel stand for a short wheelbase car. And Peter Zello, that is a good run, a 5:68. Only a couple of clicks under 400 kilometres per hour. That is a solid performance in the one and only qualifying session that we've got. It's going to be hard and fast in this session. We've got a lot of cars to get through, and this is going to be another good one. Robert Ambrosi, who has been driving out of his skin over this season, he's been sensational as far as the form of this car and the form of this team has gone. Has been running personal best at every racetrack he's gone to. And this is Wayne Price racing for Speed City, new sponsor on board this weekend. Great to see them getting involved with Pro Alcohol here at Willowbank. And of course Wayne Price running his all-Australian built funny car. It's a Dodge Charger on that side of the racetrack. And you'll hear the RPMs come up on these cars. They'll bring the revs up to about 5,500 to 6,000 RPMs. They'll drop the clutch. They've got to hit the gear points, the gear shift points, all the way down the racetrack. These are very difficult cars to drive. And that's another solid pass for Ambrosi, a 5:78. He's a couple of ticks behind Peter Zello, but a 5:78, 396 kilometres per hour. That's a very good run under the conditions. Unfortunately for Wayne Price, problems him, only a 7.4 second pass. That's going to leave him down the qualifying list a little bit, but you've got to remember, this 3-round format is completely different to your traditional eliminations. It's all about performing under pressure. That means getting win lights, running quick times in getting those win lights. And of course, if you do that, you'll move through to the A final or the B final. It's a big field of alcohol cars here this weekend, and they don't come any bigger than that man on screen, the Lucas Oil car of Gary Phillips, the, and I say this jokingly, bazillion-time national champion. He has won everything there is to win in this sport. He's taking on Steve Reed on the far side of the racetrack, the Queensland local. Problems for Phillips. That's a bit of a surprise, but Steve Reed, a 5:64, goes straight to the top of the tree, and that's the way he needs to bounce back from what was a very tough showing over in Perth. On board with Gary Phillips now. Oh, bunch of tyre shake at the top of first gear. That kind of thing will give you a headache.
We rebuilt all our stuff after Perth. We've come here with a softly approach, and our softly approach worked on that hot racetrack out there then. We'll see now as it cools down. we're going to have to make more power this time, which we can do, but let's just try and still be on the conservative side.
Then we move on to John Cannulli. This is one of the most potent funny cars in the land. This guy knows how to drive them, and he's got a bunch of horsepower under the hood as well. I'd be expecting big things from John Cannulli. This is his home racetrack. You can see just how bright this sun is. Look at it just going straight into the eyes of John Cannulli, and the left lane is probably the worst spot for it as well, because you're actually looking across directly into it when you're looking at the Christmas tree. It does not make life easy for these guys. Oh no! John Cannulli sends it skywards. That is a massive, massive wheel stand, and that could very well have championship implications for John Cannulli. You've got to remember this championship is on the line, and a 14-second pass, it doesn't matter what the time is, because, man, oh man, the problem is going to be if that car is bent, whether they can get it back for the later rounds of racing tonight or even at all. That car could be completely bent. You can see John's wife, Kirsten Tucker Cannulli, on the back of the car saying, hey guys, let's get down there, let's figure out just how bad this is. It looks to me like the wheelie bar may have broken there. It looks like it might be folded up under the back of the car, and when it's not doing its job, it makes it very tough to get these things down the racetrack.
It come up, it just picked up the wheel like it normally does, and just kept going higher and higher and higher. Next I could see the sun, so yeah.
At what point do you take the foot off?
Oh, as soon as it kept going up, I just got off it, grabbed a bit of brake, and that was it.
We saw plenty of replays on the track. It came down really hard. Is there a bit of damage?
Yeah, we damaged it broke the wheelie bar. So we've got that welded up. The guys are repairing the front end. We're just getting all the toe in, all the steering right. So hopefully we'll get it right for the next round.
Amazing commitment from the Crossroads Racing team to keep that car on track this weekend. As you can see, Stephen Reed will lead us into racing this afternoon. Pete Zello up there as well with a 568. Robert Ambrosi, a great qualifying performance as well to round out the top three. Welcome back to Willowbank Raceway. It is almost race time here. We've had qualifying, one-shot qualifying here, and it is done. We are set for a start, and I'll tell you what, we've seen some crazy stuff already. That huge wheel stand from John Cannulli. If they can get that car back, he will take on Peter Zello in this first round of racing. Gary Phillips will take on Wayne Price, Mark Davison and Robert Ambrosi to do battle, and Stephen Reed, courtesy of being the #1 qualifier, he gets the solo pass. And here we are, the Speed City funny car of Wayne Price, and he is going to be taking on the 18-time national champion, Gary Phillips, in the Lucas Oil funny car. This is a great matchup because on paper, they're very, very close as far as the kind of performances that we're expecting to see from them. But that being said, Gary Phillips has had some stellar runs here over the course of this season. He's the first guy that we've seen go into the 5.3 second zone in a pro alcohol car in this country. It's a sensational performance, but since then we've seen a few guys do it. John Cannulli's been there as well in that car that may or may not be bent coming into this round of racing, and I'll tell you what, this is going to be a really, really tough matchup. Gary Phillips is one of those guys that you just can't take lightly, no matter what kind of performances that we saw from him in qualifying. He's got so much data on the racetrack, so much experience that he can call on. He always knows how to get these cars down the track in clutch situations. And Wayne Price, we've seen him really step up his performances over the last couple of years. This new car still really only got a handful of runs on it. So they're still trying to sort out their combination, but it has shown a lot of promise. He's going to need to pull a good one out to get around Gary Phillips, though. Oh, massive hole shot. The car's almost come together at half track. Wayne Price is over the center line. That will run null and void. That run will be disqualified, and Gary Phillips, a 588, probably a subpar 588 by his standards. He would have been trying to run a little bit quicker than that, but let's have a look at the replay. It was almost like these two cars had magnets in it. They both went for the center line. Phillips did a better job of recovering from that and getting it back into the center of the lane, but that was tight. You don't want to get into another car at those kind of speeds. And man, oh man, both drivers did a good job to keep it in the straight and narrow, but unfortunately for Wayne Price, that's him disqualified from that run. On board with Gary Phillips, you can see just how much steering input he needed to have into that car just to try and keep it in the middle of the lane. He even had a big pause on the throttle as well, just to let that car settle down, and that's what experience can get you. When we talk about experience, I don't believe it. The Cannuli team, the Crossroads Racing team, have got this car back after that moonshot that we saw earlier on today. They've got this thing back together. I'd suspect there's probably still a few bent and broken bars in that car, but they have certainly got it back to the start line. That is a sensational effort, and that just shows the commitment that they've got. He's taking on Peter Zello here in the dragster. Looks like Zello's got this one run. For whatever reason, Cannuli had problems just off the starting line, and that's a solid pass again, a 5.63, stepping it up a little bit there for Peter Zello. Now, you've got to remember, this is all about winning the race and running quick times. The two quickest winners will go into the A final, and our two other winners will go into the B final. So it really is about getting the win light, running a representative time, and, well, Peter Zello has certainly done that.
In a roundabout way, it's been probably, it's been since late October since we've run the car, so it's a bit of a surprise that we've done all right today actually. So we've been busy doing other stuff and so it's been great just to get out here again and actually get down the track successfully.
Now the door is certainly open here for somebody to step into that A final, because Gary Phillips is currently the man on the bump spot, so to speak. The time that these guys need to beat to get into the A final is a 5.881 second run. Now, we know that both of these cars are capable of it. Davison probably a little bit of an underdog here coming into it, because Ambrosi has been running very well all season. Oh man, we got a pedal fest on our hands, and over the centre line goes the Altered. And it was almost like he took aim at every block there, because he got them. Every block from half-track, Mark Davidson. It was a 6.76 in the end, but that run will be disqualified over the centre line, instant disqualification, and that hands the win back across to Ambrosi. But the interesting thing is, because the finish line timers were taken out, that means that Ambrosi will be in the B final. He will not receive a representative time. It was wild for the funny car. He was pedaling that thing. And in the meantime, over in the other lane, almost over in his lane, Mark Davison was bowling for cones. Hit him front and centre, and it was a good run nonetheless, but still, that's not what you want to do. And now we move on to the solo pass here. Final pass for this first round of racing, and Steve Reed, the number that he is looking for is 5.88. If he can run quicker than 5.88, he will go into the A final, and he will take on Peter Zello, who I believe is heading into his first ever final round. Sensational effort for him, but can Reed do it? The All-Star Batteries funny car bumping into stage. Oh, he's really close to the centre line. It's quick enough. It's a 5.53, but did he get those finish line timers? I don't think he did. I've got a feeling it might have been just the wind from the car as it went past, or the parachutes tagging the finish line cones there. If the car hit one of those cones, that is an instant disqualification. That would see him relegated to the B final, but I think he was okay. You can see he gets to within centimetres of it, but no, he is okay. He's on his way to the A final. He will take on Peter Zello in what promises to be a huge matchup, and Gary Phillips, the reigning national champ, will take on Rob Ambrosi in the B. So the Pro Alcohol B final time now. Strong burnouts on both sides of the racetrack. Rob Ambrosi really is a family operation, this. He's got his daughter Monique out in front of the car backing up. A vital part of this race team. She has a hand in just about everything that goes on. And of course Rob as well, turning into a very, very mature driver in that funny car. And you talk about maturity, you've got Gary Phillips over in the other lane. There's not much that we can say about this guy that we haven't touched on before. He has won everything there is to win in drag racing, and yet he still has the hunger to keep coming back. He loves winning. He loves having that number 1 on the side of this car. Unfortunately for him so far tonight, it's meant only a B final. But that being said, it's still a good bag of points that he will take into this championship. Rob Ambrosi, he'd just be happy to be lining up in this B final, I think. Clean greens both sides of the racetrack, and Brosy strapped a whole shot on Gary Phillips, but Phillips takes it at the other end, and that is low ET of the evening, 5.46 seconds. Quickest run we've seen so far. Sensational performance for Gary Phillips at just under 400 kilometres per hour. Ambrosi looked like the car was pretty clean till around about there. It looked like it might have got out of the groove a little bit, and very, very wet pipes. I dare say the blower belt probably came off that car then. That's usually the cause for all the wet pipes. But Gary Phillips takes the win in the B final. Let's go on board. He gets through that shake zone really, really well, and that's the reason for that quick run. Great job, great tune-up, great driving from Gary Phillips. A final time now. And this is exactly the way that final rounds are supposed to be. The two form guys of this weekend so far. Steve Reed didn't qualify number 1, but certainly laid down a great run in the first round of racing with that 5.53 on the solo. And Pete Zello, a guy who's really just creeping up on it. Went 5.68 in the qualifying round, 5.63 in the first round. That was enough to get him through to this final round. It is his first ever final round in the 400 Thunder series, and he'd be looking to take home one of those nice big gold shiny Christmas trees home to put on his mantelpiece. Steve Reed, he's got plenty of Christmas trees, but he always wants one more. This is his home track. He loves to put on a show in front of his home crowd, his family. Everyone's here at the racetrack. This is going to be a good one. Clean greens both sides of the racetrack. The chute comes out early for Steve Reed. I don't know who got there. That was a close race. It's Peter Zello. Takes home his first win in Pro Alcohol under the 400 Thunder banner. I tell you what, you talk about stealing it at the death. Steve Reed was out in front. It looked to me like the big horsepower of the funny car was going to bring it home, but for whatever reason, the chute comes out early. He was still on the throttle at that point, and Peter Zello takes it by a nose. Sensational race.
And Peter, this is a lesson in perseverance, isn't it?
Oh, very much so, yes. Been racing a while, but today was just one of those days where everything sort of went right for us, that's for sure. So, we weren't the fastest car, but we got the win.
And also a minority as well.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, I've basically always grown up with the dragsters, so yeah, just something I love driving, and I just love them in general. So yeah, it wasn't a choice of what car I was ever going to drive. It was always going to be a dragster.
Good on you, Pete, mate. You're cradling that thing like it's a baby, mate. Well done.
I'd see if I'll be sleeping with it tonight. That's for sure.
Day 2 of the Santos Super 3 Extreme Drag Race from Willowbank Raceway, and we are set for the one and only qualifying shot that these guys get at the track. This is Pro Alcohol, big crowd in the house, that's what we like to see. And our first matchup will be Rob Ambrosi taking on Wayne Price. Wayne Price racing for Speed City. Good to see a new sponsor on board for that team. He's been having some very, very strong performances over the last couple of months, and I tell you what, it's great to see some corporate involvement getting involved with these 400 Thunder teams. Rob Ambrosi, of course, has struggled a bit this weekend, has really got past half track under full power. Can he rectify that here? Well, it certainly looks like he can. The car is clean, the car's out in front, and he takes it. A 5.66 for Rob Ambrosi. That's a good run. It's not a PB, but it's certainly moving down in that direction. And Wayne Price, a 5.69. Definitely a good run from both of these races. Let's have a look at the replay. Both cars got through the shake zone very, very cleanly. Very different conditions today to what we saw from yesterday. A lot more humidity in the air. The track is probably a little bit cooler than what we saw yesterday from it being in the full sun, and that's going to work for these cars. Ambrosi there takes that race by about a car length. It is only qualifying, but it still matters.
Side-by-side run, 2 funny cars, that looks good, and that feels good to actually win like that as well. One thing, we've had a lot of electrical gremlins with this car all weekend. We let one wire, which was really, really hard to find, but James Rowland, my crew chief, found it, and yeah, fixed it up, and the car, you know, went down the track, around the 66, so I was pretty happy with that.
Gary Phillips rolling up to the line now, the Lucas Oil Monte Carlo funny car. And he will be taking on his old sparring partner, Steve Reed. I would love to have $1 for every time these two guys have matched up. They've been racing against each other, I would say, for probably pretty close to 30 years. It's at least 25, longer than either driver would care to remember. And they've both sort of pushed each other along in their respective careers. Both have been at the peak of their powers for a long, long time. Gary Phillips has got the championships, but Steve Reed, he's got experience as well. This is going to be a good one. Gary Phillips way out in front. He basically matches his time from last night, 5:46, 255 miles per hour. That's 411 kilometres per hour, sensational speed. And Steve Reed was right there alongside, 5:75 on the boards for him. At the moment, that's got him in 4th spot on the qualifying list with 2 cars to go down the racetrack still. But a great side-by-side race. Good track conditions here. Oh, in fact, a little bit of a pedal there. He had to get on and off the throttle, Steve Reed, to let that car settle down. It might have shook the tyres just a little bit in the front half of the racetrack, and that's probably why he's run a little bit slower than Gary Phillips there. On board with Gary Phillips. This car is so smooth through the shake zone there. The danger zone is just off the start line. He gets it through. That's a sensational run.
Yeah, the track's really good. The humidity's pretty high. You know, the weather's getting pretty narky, like there's a pretty good old lightning show out there, but yeah, we're ready.
And the final matchup of this one and only qualifying round is Peter Zello, our winner from last night in the dragster. And he'll be taking on John Canuli. Rocket Man, as we should call him from now on, after that huge wheel stand that we saw yesterday. We hope that this car is straight and ready to go here today. I'd say they've probably had a pretty good look at it overnight just to make sure that everything is A-OK. Done what they can do to try and make this thing raceable. But Peter Zello, he has had just about a bulletproof car all weekend so far. Took home the trophy. Great to see a dragster get the win as well, I might add. It's been dominated by funny cars over the last few years, the pro alcohol scene. But when a dragster wins, I tell you what, it just warms the hearts of drag racing fans across the nation. Oh, ugly on both sides of the racetrack. Peter Zello looked like he might have blown the tyres off it a little bit, and it looks like John Canuli might have banged the blower there. The burst panel's gone out of the body, the relief panel that is. You can see that big gaping hole in the bonnet. That's designed to do that when the engine lets go, because it takes the energy away from underneath that body and hopefully dissipates some of it without doing any damage to the body. It was an ugly run on both sides of the racetrack. Let's have a look at exactly what happened. It was straight up in tyre smoke on both sides of the racetrack. Very unusual for pro alcohol cars, but keep your eye on the funny car. He gets back on the throttle. He's off it there. You can see the butterflies are closed, and boom, that burst panel goes sailing high into the air. The onboard footage of this is going to be absolutely sensational. It'll show you just how violent it can be. Oh, big flash of flame. And John Canuli goes, yep, time to get this thing stopped. It looks like he may have even hit the fire bottles there, I think. Big flash of flame. That's the end of it for John Canuli, and Gary Phillips will lead us into racing. He's got 0.2 of a second over the number 2 man, Robert Ambrosi. That gives him a huge advantage. Well, unfortunately, the weather gods have not shined upon us here at Willowbank Raceway. The 400 Thunder Series has lived up to its name, and we have got thunder and lightning and very, very frightening. It is a massive storm that is rolling into the track here, and unfortunately what it means is that we cannot finish this event. It's been washed out, so let's have a look at the points coming out of night 1 of this event. And John Canuli is leading the way on 398 points, but Gary Phillips less than 30 points behind. I tell you what, when he sniffs blood, he will go for it. I'd be a bit nervous if I was John Canuli, and Steve Reed is rounding out the top 3 on 325. On next week's show, we've got all the action and colour from Pro Stock here at the Sandoz Super 3 Extreme Drag Race. This is 400 Thunder, and that's all we've got time for. We'll see you next time.